Okay, here's a copy of the format for the prosecutive report. We have here the prosecutive report just as is listed in the PowerPoint presentation. A cover page, name of subjects, list of violations, and a synopsis of the criminal acts. Then you will start a new page for the table of contents. After the new page where you have the table of contents and the page numbers where each section will start, you would start a new page. This is your first one, your civil, criminal, administrative history of your subjects, related proceedings, and contact persons. And here's an example given. Joseph Smith has been indicted by the Commonwealth of Kentucky for arson and March 2012 burning of his residence. Flea Bailey is the Commonwealth attorney, and there's his phone number. William Goatman has been indicted in the Northern District of Georgia for possession with intent to distribute controlled substances. Melly Belly, Assistant U.S. Attorney, and a telephone number. Then you'd have a new page. Here are your potential witnesses. This is the name of the witness and what they will testify to, and the page number of where the witness statement will be found. Example, Robert E. Lee Tankersley will testify that William Goatman used his Smith & Wesson 9mm pistol to kill Roscoe Ferguson. Tankersley report of interview is found on page blank in this report. And what you would do is lay out all of your pages for the information that you have, and you would put those page numbers in these blanks. A new page, list of documents. Example here is the Georgia Investigation Bureau report on a search warrant at William Goatman's house. Another new page, list of evidence and who will testify to what piece of evidence. Example, a matchbook found next to the computer. Abe Lincoln will testify he found the matchbook and sent it to the lab for analysis. Lab report found on page of this report. And then you would start the appendix with the documents at this point in time. Here's your case. You'll receive a file with all of these documents in it, but what has happened is that Joseph Smith reported that there was a fire at his house at 211 Eric Drive in Midway, Kentucky, and this is a copy of the crime report, the police incident crime report. If you scroll down through this, you'll see for the right here in the middle that there's a victim, last name unknown, first name unknown, Lanu Fanu. We don't have that information at this time. We'll scroll down. There's not a lot of related information on this. When we get down here to the narrative that the officer who arrived on the scene, he says that he received a call to a fire. Fire units were on the scene when he arrived. He was doing crowd control. He sees a blue Mustang, Georgia tag EAT 303. Guy asked him to move his car. White male, 5'8", 150 pounds, dark goatee. With him was a white male, 5'9", 200 pounds, mustache, and a tattoo. He's called into the scene where he finds a white male, no ID. The coroner has been called, and the body's removed for transport to the state medical examiner's office. The next thing that we see is the NCIC printout. This is pretty much what an NCIC printout would look like, and we've got a Georgia tag EAT 303. It comes back to Georgia VIN on a Ford Mustang. You get Mustang coupe, blue in color, and it's registered to William Goatman, Peachtree Trail, Abacus, Georgia. We have the Arson County Fire incident report that they received a call regarding a house fire, that they responded, and what happened there. We've got a firefighter who reported seeing a body in the rear family room, and it's their report that the body was removed by the coroner. So this and the police report would pretty much go along with each other. Now we have the coroner's report. The coroner, again, this is the coroner's story of what happened. They get called to the scene, what they did. Well, they found a body, they declared it dead, and they moved on. And the body makes it to the medical examiner's office, and this is a copy of the autopsy. We go through this, and it talks about evidence that was collected off of them: fingerprints, blood samples, the manner of death, homicide, cause of death, gunshot to the head, and it gives us that information there. So we know that the person inside was killed by a gunshot, not by a fire. Then we get this information from the Georgia Investigation Bureau. They find out that when we ran the tag through NCIC, it was flagged by the El Paso Intelligence Center, which is a clearinghouse for drug-related information, and they've got an investigation on him. So they're kind of telling us what's going on. And they tell us that he hangs out with a guy named Robert Tankersley. That they served a warrant for drugs at his house, and they found cocaine and marijuana. Goatman was arrested, gave no statement. Also that he's a convicted felon, and that in his possession was a Smith & Wesson Model 59. Alcohol, tobacco, firearms, explosives record shows the weapon was purchased by a Robert Tankersley. Among the records found was a name, Roscoe Ferguson. And they also tell us that they had a 30-day surveillance period. We look at this surveillance record, February 19th to March 19th. We find that Robert Tankersley has been at the house. As we scroll down a little bit, we also find out that here it is up here, I missed it, that Joseph Smith was at the house. Excuse me, wrong license here. Joseph Smith was at the house. So what we have is the Joseph Smith of 211 Eric Drive has been at William Goatman's house in Georgia. Now we go back to the investigation. The fingerprints from the deceased was checked through AFIS, and there was a match for a Roscoe Ferguson who lives in Abacus, Georgia, or they had an address of Abacus, Georgia. Last information, again, we look at El Paso Intelligence Center. They had a Roscoe Ferguson living in Kentucky. And here's his criminal history and what happened during those criminal histories. Aggravated assault, case dismissed, auto theft convicted, strong arm robbery convicted. So you see what his history is at that point. We have the Georgia Drug Task Force information. Now the Georgia Task Force is working with Georgia Investigation Bureau on drug trafficking, and they have identified a plot to burn a house in Richmond, Kentucky with a Robert Tankersley and Roscoe Ferguson. That's all that they have. They are asking us for information. Now, as a courtesy, we would send information to them under a confidential cover. If you notice at the top it says confidential law enforcement information. This is letting us know this is not for public dissemination. If we send them something, we would want to have the same courtesy. Our information would not be for public dissemination. Now we have another lab report. In this case, we've compared the bullet fired from Roscoe Ferguson's, recovered from Roscoe Ferguson, and it's being compared with the Smith & Wesson that was seized at Goatman's house, and also checking fingerprints comparing Goatman and Tankersley off of the weapon, and the analysis shows that the bullet taken from Roscoe Ferguson is in a match with the one seized at Goatman's house, and a partial print on the trigger finds the right index finger of William Goatman, and 7 points of comparison. And 7 points of comparison means that between the known and the questioned fingerprint, there are 7 places that they can say yes, these 7 places match. And that's me and my son. I can't get my page to come back up again. You may notice that I was Robert E. Lee Tankersley from the investigation. What you're going to do with these papers is you'll take these and you will put them in order under those headings in your prosecutive report. You will add to that the statement that the report of investigation that you had, report of interview that you had on Robert Tankersley, and that would be your prosecutive report. You don't have to send this in hard copy, but what you will do is put it in an order. You can cut and paste these documents into an order, so as I read those, it would scroll down from your cover page down to your table of contents to those different things. You may need to watch this a couple of times to make sure that you have all the information you need for your case.